So we had our weekly little check-in with the Sniper, and this week we're going to look at the players that Leeds have recruited from the NRL. And we had a comment earlier on, Carl, didn't we, on our last video?
Yeah, somebody said that this is the poshest rugby league show on YouTube. I thought,
poshest and analysis.
The poshest, yeah, and they definitely weren't talking about me and you, was there? So it's got to be the Sniper, mate.
He's got to be. Yeah, so some people say that he is the poshest rugby league analyst out there. All we know is he's called the Sniper, and here he is right now.
Pleasure to be here, guys. How's it going?
It's going well in the run-up to Christmas. We thought rugby league would slow down a little bit, but there's still plenty of stories out there. So as a massive Leeds fan, I'm really interested for this week's take on the NRL imports.
Cool. Where would you prefer to start? Sevo or
Sevo?
I think Sevo. I've got like a bit of a preconception about Sevo, and then I'm quite interested in Palasia. So yeah, let's start with Sevo.
Right, why don't you give me your preconception first? Let's hear this first, and then I'll counter with the. With our take on it.
Well, I wasn't going to put it out there, but I've heard that like he's always sort of been a little bit underwhelming and never really achieved a great deal.
That sounds like Leeds' Super League for the last 5 years. That does
exactly. So, and you know,
right in what?
Yeah, and as for the reason for coming to Super League, it's like, well, you know, he wasn't really doing a great deal in NRL, and he's coming over to chance his arm here. So that's my sort of assumption of it, having spoke to a couple of other Leeds fans. So yeah, I'm all ears.
That is super harsh. Super harsh. I did disagree completely with this one.
Yeah.
If you were to say to me who are the likely top try scorers next season,
yeah,
you've got to put Liam Marshall in there. You've got to put Matty Ashton up there. You probably put Sevo third on that list.
Really?
And then you'd have Kyle Felt. Yeah, you'd have Kyle Felt between 4th and 6th, depending on what pans out with the coach, which we spoke about last week. Sevo is a phenom. He's unbelievable. He's a Fijian flyer.
Yeah.
And he's got pretty much everything. He's mainly known for playing at Parramatta. He scored 114 tries in 115 games for the Eels. That's almost a try a game.
Yeah. And
he's got absolutely everything. He's built for speed. He's got loads of power. He's scored a record number of tries for Fiji. He's known as a Fijian flyer. He does his best every time he puts the jersey on. He's super passionate, especially when playing for his nation. And he wasn't playing off Mitch Moses. Mitch Moses on the right-hand side, Dylan Brown's on the left. Okay, occasionally he'd get a cut-out ball from Mitch Moses, but not often.
Yeah.
So he didn't have the service that the other winger on the right-hand side of Para's attack had. He wasn't feeding off, off Mitch Moses. So I think they've got potentially the top try scorer in their team now. He debuted in the New South Wales Cup in 2016. He scored 35 tries in that season. He originally signed for the Panthers until the end of the 2018 season. He scored 12 times for them in their lower grade. And then he moved on to Parramatta, where he made his name. And every home game at CommBank, he was scoring. Every single game. He'd often score late because teams couldn't pick him up or deal with his power or pace. So if there are punters out there looking for last try scorer odds, he's really, really good for that.
There you go.
Bonus tip. He's a weapon. And he's a weapon.
Where would you rate Ash Handley then on your potential for leading try scorers? Because he's no slouch, is he? He did all right. He was close last year.
I'd have him in the second tier. I mean, yeah, you've got some elite players there now.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Matty Ashton, so I'd like to think that potentially he could be number one, and it might not be Liam Marshall. But these two guys beneath, Sevo and Felt, could easily end up being top try scorer.
Exciting time.
So you've got a really good player there. Now, if you look at it in terms of what's happened for him over the last 3 or 4 seasons, he was on fire 2 years ago. He was on fire 3 years ago. And they were chanting his name non-stop at CommBank, the fans. They were mad for him. In the Pacific Championships last year, I've never heard a chant like it for one single player. The entire crowd, every time Fiji played, was shouting Sivo. So he's revered. But over the course of this season and towards the end of last season, for a player with so much power, it looked like he wasn't going into contact as hard as you'd expect.
Yeah.
It was a little bit powder puff, you know?
Right.
And he became a little bit sloppy. He wasn't, you know, his ball handling had come off slightly. And eventually he was dropped from the team. Came back into the team. I think he missed a couple of sitters. And then he went into a high tackle and got banned. So he missed something like 8 games. He came back refreshed towards the end of the season, scored some tries, did well for Fiji, and looked like he found his mojo again. But that's the issue. That's probably why he thought to himself, let me reunite with Brad Arthur. I had my best times under Brad Arthur, and the move made sense.
So if he didn't have if he didn't have the best season last year, do you reckon we'll get some good odds on him at the start of next season for top try scorer?
I think to get good prices, you want an unknown rather than a known.
Yeah.
Sivo's a known. He's not coming from left field, you know. So I think it'll be fair. The Aussie markets are very clued up on him. He's normally very short to score a try in internationals and playing for his club. So I don't think we're going to get any standout odds there, unless the English odds compilers have underrated him.
Yeah.
But I don't really see that happening. He's a big name. So, yeah, an exciting prospect. I think he'll do really well in Super League.
Right, shall we move on then to Keenan Palacia? What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, there's not much to say about this guy. I think he's best known for a really good performance in the grand final in 2024 when the Broncos choked. And then Nathan Cleary came on and just turned the game with the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Palacia was really impressive in that game. But he's a bit of a journeyman player. He's never really fulfilled his potential. And, you know, he started off in the second row. He can now play as a lock or a prop. He's versatile. I'm not sure if he's going to be first team material or cover. And, you know, he's a Queenslander, but, you know, I think he's just decided to move to Super League to try and, you know, get a new challenge and try and impress. So, yeah, there's not much to say about him.
Well, I mean,
I really don't have much for you.
But it is an area of the park that Leeds really need to recruit well on. You know, the forwards were a little bit underwhelming last year.
They weren't underwhelming; they were soft.
Yeah.
Well, they were soft all year, weren't they?
Yeah, and I think even the pundits
seems to have lost it these days.
Even the pundits were sort of saying that, you know, it's part of their game plan to bend rather than like hold. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the strength in the defence is that they're willing to let the line bend. And I thought, well, that's just dog shit. So, you know, and they were soft. So hopefully, although I can't see just one personality making a massive difference, but hopefully it does bring some edge to the forward.
Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think with Leeds Rhinos though? They've actually got on paper they've got a decent side, and they have for a number of years. If you look at the Leeds side on paper and you compare it to any other team in Super League, you always look at them and go,
they've got a chance.
There should be a top 4 side, and it seems to me that the problems at Leeds has actually been either culture or the coaching, which all ties together, doesn't it? I suppose. Yeah. I think under Brad Arthur, I think we started to see it last year. I think we'll see a different Leeds Rhinos this year.
Yeah. Well, they definitely got a lot out of some of the players like Brodie Croft, you know. So exciting times, brilliant. Can we make a little shift now? Sorry, go on.
The weird thing is, sorry to interrupt you guys. So I made a mistake slightly earlier. It was the 2023 grand final,
right? Yeah,
where he did really well, but he moved on from the Broncos, and we know they've had culture problems for the last few years. And then he moved to the Gold Coast Titans in 2024. Now, the Titans aren't exactly renowned for their defense either.
Yeah. And
despite all the troubles they had in their pack, he couldn't really secure a first-team place this year. I think he made 15 appearances out of the 27 games or 28 games that they played. And he was ultimately let go by them. So he was deemed surplus to requirements at a lower level, if you like. So, not really sure.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Well, and one of the things that I was going to say that I just switched a little bit to something that was reported in the news earlier in the week. I think it was obviously they're in the middle of like pre-season training, and he made a statement that Leeds were some of the fittest, if not the fittest team that he's been part of. So. What's your take on that?
He's known to be one of the best, in terms of physical training and making sure that everybody's physically ready. Brad Arthur.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the litmus test on that will be probably Jake Connor.
Yeah.
How mobile is he? Is he getting around the pitch as he's supposed to be? Yeah. What's your take on Jake Connor?
Well, I love. He's actually from my hometown, but. I love watching Jake Connor. I always have, because I just love the way that he needles people, and now he's become the pantomime villain. But I'm a little bit disappointed that it affects his game so much. And last year when he was at this year, I keep saying last year. This year he was dropped by Huddersfield because of I don't know whether it just kind of upset the flow of play and all that. I was a little bit upset, but to come to Leeds, I'm quite excited, but also a little bit nervous at the same time.
Right.
So,
he needs to get his mojo back a bit. That was always one of his strongest part of his game, I thought, that the fact that he could wind up the opposition team.
Yeah.
He got under people's skins, and actually when the crowd got on his back, he used to thrive on it, and he actually played like you say,
some of the skills.
It was pantomime villain, but yeah, he's got the skills to back it up. But yeah, last year he certainly didn't have a great season, and something was affecting him last year, whether he was just unsettled at Huddersfield or not. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes under Brad Arthur. What's your opinion on him?
I don't think he scores enough tries. I remember his Magic Round performance in particular.
Yeah.
Okay, there were some silky skills, there were some decent moves, but for a player of that standard, you'd want to see him scoring at least double digits regularly. So I think he's been held back. I'd hope that he could revive his career under Brad Arthur. But where's he going to play? Isn't Lockie Miller? Is Lockie Miller the fullback at the moment?
Yeah, Lockie Miller, and he had a great season last year. Certainly towards the end of the year, he got better and better, didn't he? So I don't know if he's going to be playing at fullback.
Well, the word out in the camp is that he's willing to play wherever. So
that is one thing you do get with Jake Connor. He can fit into a number of positions quite easily. So it's probably a bit of a win-win there for Leeds. They're obviously going to pick up injuries at some point in the season, so being able to move him around is